Welcome to the Pregame Pint. We are at a very special episode today. We are live from St. Louis. This is the International Tap House in Soulard. And I am joined right now by Louligan lady Andy Gebhardt. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm excited to be here. We're taking a little bit of a trip today to talk about the St. Louis FC versus Louisville City matchup. This is going to be the second matchup between the two in-conference rivals, and both named after a French king who
Yes.
I don't know too much about, but this will be what's been dubbed the King's Cup Clash. This will be the second. It's tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m., right, Central Time here. Well, that's important because in Louisville we're on Eastern Time, and so we got to remember that. But we are, of course, live from live from St. Louis, the International Tap House. We're going to bring on St. Louis General Manager Jeremy Alumbaugh. First, we're getting started with one of the Louligan ladies, and then we'll be joined by another St. Louligan, Matthew Bird, later on. Hopefully, we'll have some good things to talk about. But first, we got to talk about St. Louis.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're here. You're here. Are you from here?
I am. I'm actually from right across the river, but I'm from the metro area. So I grew up in St. Louis, born and raised.
Okay, that counts. Well, soccer is a big thing in St. Louis, or
Right.
St. Louis is a big thing in American soccer. I
Right.
don't know which one's the more accurate thing to say, but there's a rich soccer history for America right here in St. Louis. And, obviously we've had teams that have had 10 U.S. Open Cups.
Absolutely.
There were 6 members of the 1950 U.S. team that beat England that were on that team. What is that like? What is the vibe of soccer in St. Louis?
We have a really strong soccer history here, obviously. There's different neighborhoods, different communities that have a rich history, like the Hill neighborhood. That's where all the, five of the 6 from the 1950 team came from, was the Hill neighborhood, which is an
cool.
Italian immigrant neighborhood. And so that neighborhood is obviously has produced, they were the people that started the Kudus Funeral Home, which is, they won, I think, 6 U.S. amateur cups. And so, different neighborhoods, different things like that have a great soccer history. And even over on the Illinois side, we have, a really rich soccer tradition. SIU Edwardsville has, which you guys probably know.
Well, Louisville actually played SIU
Yeah, you
Edwardsville
did, and we played them too. We won, but but either way, they've gone to NCAA championships, SLU High School, or in SLU University. So it's a soccer hotbed for sure.
Yeah. So. This is a really cool place. We gotta stop and talk about that. The International Tap House, Soulard, is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's got kind of a New Orleans French Quarter.
Yeah.
Maybe for the Louisville people, a little bit of an old Louisville feel.
Yeah,
to
definitely. It's one of the oldest neighborhoods in St. Louis, and obviously they've kept a lot of the charm. So if you get down here, it's a great vibe.
Now, I think I was reading an article from maybe St. Louis Public Radio that talked about what Soulard means. It's something to do with drunkenness?
Yeah, I think that, I don't think that was what originally it was set up for, but maybe it was, brothels and things like that and drunkenness. But there's tons of bars down here. It's tons of great restaurants, barbecue, things like that. And so it's definitely a good time.
It's really neat. I rolled in today and they were having this farmer's market about a block away.
It's a fantastic farmer's market.
I think it took me 4 hours to get here. I think a half an hour of it was spent sitting in traffic at the four-way stop right there.
Absolutely.
But it's beautiful. I finally found a place to park and got in here. This place is awesome. I had some barbecue from maybe a block away.
Yep.
It was really good.
Yep, it's fantastic.
Now you guys are also, there's a Mission Taco right here.
Mission Taco is one of our sponsors for St. Louis FC. They're actually going to be doing food trucks and stuff like that at our tailgates. And they're great, and they're attached to this bar. So they're always willing to give us free chips and salsa and all good stuff. So
chips and salsa, especially
you can't
free.
beat that.
All good stuff. Well, coming back to soccer a little bit, obviously going out to the game tomorrow night, but looking back at the history of soccer in St. Louis and everything, there has been teams in and out of here in all different leagues and divisions.
Right.
I guess talk a little bit about, you said you grew up here, what teams were in and out of here that you experienced?
I've seen, when I was a kid growing up here, we had a really rich indoor soccer history. The Ambush won their indoor title. I think it was back in 1994. But also, we've seen teams like the Steamers come in and out. Obviously, this is a little bit pre my time, but the Stars. And then, most recently, AC St. Louis, which was in 2010. But this one feels different.
AC St. Louis was an outdoor team, though, right?
It was an outdoor team.
It was an outdoor team. Okay. And they only lasted one season.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand Dale Shilley, who was coach of St. Louis Football Club, actually had spent some time there.
He did. He came in after the original coach. So.
Okay. Well, I guess there's been talk here and there throughout the years of Major League expansion. MLS has been to town. I know Don Garber was just here recently. What is the feel of that situation? I mean, I know there's been some talk of, teams looking at expanding here, maybe building one, but what is the feel of those talks when that happens?
I mean, back in, I think it was like 1993, there was talk that we were going to maybe get Real Salt Lake at the time. Mm-hmm. They were going to move here, and that kind of fell through. And then even in like 2008, we kind of gone in and out. We're always in the talks, but we're always the bridesmaids, never the brides type of thing. So
that's a great analogy.
Yeah, I mean, we are always in the talks, but we can never seem to seal the deal. And I think it's really about putting the butts in the seats to get people here, and that's why it's so important that we, support what we have, and that's important.
Okay, so now where did the St. Louligans come in?
So the St. Louligans kind of started as like a group it was a whole bunch of groups that would go for AC St. Louis games. And then after AC St. Louis folded, there was still soccer in the city, the St. Louis Lions and different, PDL teams. And they were just a group of friends, and they just kind of formed what would become the St. Louligans. And, despite not having an official, a pro team, we have kind of lasted since then and kind of grown into what we are today. So,
and that's kind of what the Louisville Coopers did. I know you all are somewhat familiar, maybe through Trash Talk on Twitter, but the Coopers were there. Their goal was to help land a professional soccer team. What role did the St. Louligans play in working with the development of St. Louis Football Club, if any?
Yeah, I mean, we were there from the very beginning, right after they announced that the club was going to be bought by Scott Gallagher, which is the youth youth academy here in St. Louis. There's others, but that's one of the main ones. They basically, Jeremy invited us in, and after that, we kind of worked with them hand in hand to grow fan support, to fill the seats, sell tickets, all that good stuff. And so we really, I feel like, played an integral part in kind of where we stand today with St. Louis FC. So.
And you were talking, actually, before this began, we were talking a little bit about the relationship of the St. Louligans and the team, and that's a good relationship, right? You guys are very close.
Oh, absolutely. I think I was telling you, I commute in from Illinois every day, and so does Jeremy, and it's not often that you can get a text message in your commute that says, hey, this traffic sucks. Have a good day. And so, we really have a good relationship with the front office, the ticket people, the coaches, the players, and it's a family. I mean, and this is kind of how St. Louis is. We're everybody in the St. Louis soccer family, we are really a family, and we all work together for a common goal.
And what kind of interaction has there been with developing your experience? I know that's a big thing, is the fan experience. What have you all worked with the club in terms of trying to make sure that you all can both provide a good experience for other fans and as well for the team, but also for your experience? What kind of interaction has there been on that?
We worked with the club in terms of, we picked out our section. Whenever if we want to do TIFOs and things like that, they work with us on that level. But also, if they ask us to, we created chants and worked on that and had chant practices and things like that. And it's really just about creating a PG-13 environment for everybody so that you can enjoy the game and the people sitting next to us can enjoy the game, but we can still kind of keep that supporters group edge that is important.
Yeah, you're allowed one F word in certain circumstances per film.
Right, an F word, there's been a couple F words, I think.
Well,
It happens.
And the F word is football, right?
Football, yes.
Yeah, football club, St. Louis Football Club. Do you all have any signature songs and chants? I know you mentioned you have some. Are there any signature ones that you all do?
There's one that always is a big hit because we have Jason McAdams is one of our capos, and he it's about a chupacabra. So we are nickname, we call the team the Fighting Chupacabras because it's like a chupacabra is like a mystical beast. We never thought we'd have, you'll never see it, but
okay.
So anyway,
we
do a chupacabra chant to the tune of Hava Nagila. That's it always gets people going, and You'll have to listen to it tomorrow. I'm not
okay.
doing
All
it
right.
on
We're
this.
not gonna get it right now. We'll get it tomorrow. Okay.
We'll get it tomorrow.
So we'll tape it. Now there is obviously a rivalry tomorrow night,
Yep.
Louisville versus St. Louis. It just sort of happened. It was just like, well, these are natural rivals. They're both in the Eastern Conference. They're right there. But the Twitter accounts for the St. Louligans, the Louligans, they take it personally. I mean, it gets intense. Do you guys just hate Louisville? I mean, did Louisville do something to you all?
No, we don't hate Louisville. I think, you guys push our buttons, we push your buttons. That's part of the banter game, and you guys thankfully get banter, and we get banter. And we might take it maybe a step too far sometimes, and vice versa. But it's all in good fun.
Oh yeah, always all in good fun. That's great. Well, Andy, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Dalton.
We're gonna push you out of the way now.
Right.
Get Jeremy Alumbaugh in here. All right, thanks so much, Jeremy. Are you ready? We'll just he's gonna make a big entrance here. He's got to grab the pint too. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Also, thank you for bringing the pint because nobody had put the pint in it yet. I don't bring that. I let other people do that.
Sounds good.
Jeremy, you're a general manager of St. Louis Football Club, running the show. Tell me a little bit about how the club got started in St. Louis and how it got built.
Yeah, so the youth club here, St. Louis Scott Gallagher, owns and operates the team, and there was word that a team was maybe on its way. Sure, that's all right. There's a word that maybe someone wanted to use our facility to maybe do a team, and we've been down that road before. And St. Louis, and as well as any city in this country, has failed at soccer, pro soccer. We're just the last ones to get it right. It's failed in Kansas City, it's failed in Chicago, it's failed in LA, go on and on and on. But we're just the last city to come to the party with that. So we just kind of sat down and said, hey, is this something that we can do for the city? It's a big undertaking. It's a big commitment. It's a lot of resources. But we just figured out, if we're going to do this for St. Louis and the community, let's do it right. Let's put soccer people in charge, good business soccer people in charge, and try to get this thing going. And we're lucky and happy to be in USL. It's where we wanted to be from the get-go.
Oh yeah, and
it's been a great fit for us.
Well, you mentioned St. Louis Scott Gallagher, obviously a storied youth program with a lot of notable alumni. I believe Taylor Twellman maybe came out of that.
Yeah, there's all kinds. Taylor Twellman, Tim Ream, at Bolton. He's actually been out training with us this week as he gets ready for hopefully some call-ups and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of history, a lot of good players, a lot of current guys in MLS and guys that were overseas, and there's been a player in every World Cup team since whenever, on every team in the World Cup from St. Louis. So, it's a good fact, and it's something that, players here can try to, grab onto.
Well, what kind of relationship does the team have with the club? I know you said that maybe Scott Gallagher is part of the group that runs the club, but what does that do for the relationship, having both having a good pro level team to say, look, this is what you can work toward, but also having a good youth program that can sort of catapult your USL franchise?
It gave us a good structure to start from. St. Louis Scott Gallagher on the youth side, has 4,000 some players with, we have facilities. We own the soccer park, so we're not having to rent our facility. So that gives you a little bit of an advantage when you're putting together ticket prices and things that you can do. And so it gave us a little bit of a head start. We didn't have to hire director of finance and stuff like that. We had a lot of that put in place. But there's also some challenges that come with it, trying to balance both. But we also had a vision of how we wanted this team to play. We wanted to keep the ball on the ground. We wanted to be a soccer-oriented team that knocks it and moves it and do some things that way. So it gave us a head start, and it gave us a great infrastructure with the stadium, with the resources that we have from our president, all the way down into, the guys that work on the field and stuff. So it was a good jump start for us to get this thing going.
And you talked about the leadership. You got Jim Kavanaugh, I believe, is the owner, and he is the co-founder of Worldwide Technologies. Is he a big soccer guy? Is this a big passion project? Or?
He's a huge soccer guy, and he's a huge St. Louis guy. Worldwide is involved in so many things outside of soccer here in St. Louis. They do a great job of supporting the city in general, but Jim was the one that saved the soccer park from turning into something else. A couple of years ago, when ownership changes and things happen, that it was going to probably be turned into not a soccer venue, and that would be a shame. It's one of the original ones. It's got a lot of history to it, and it's so he came and saved it. But he's a great businessman. He was a great player. On the U.S. Olympic team. Played at SLU, played pro. He's got a good background. Probably could play for us if we would let him. Maybe be our captain. He's a competitor. And
maybe a guest game.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's fit as can be, but he's a big supporter of just everything that we're doing, and really gives us the vision.
Well, you talked about the soccer park. It's obviously a great place. I haven't been out there yet. I'm excited to see it tomorrow night. But I mean, what kind of a catapult is that, or a catalyst for the team having a nice venue like that has been there?
Yeah, people know it, throughout the Midwest and the country, and then obviously St. Louis. So it's gives us a head start there. It's a soccer-specific venue, so the sight lines are great. Every seat is great. There's no bad seats there, and it's an engaging atmosphere. So it's loud. Starts with the Louligans in the corner, carries over. The Coopers will make it loud tomorrow as well, so that's going to add to it. Yeah. But it's just a great venue. It's tight. It's compact. You're not 200 yards away like some of the stadiums that we play in. And not just in this league, but in other leagues as well. There's no track around it. It's unique. It's special, and it's got we put a lot of work into it, a lot of infrastructure, new lights, locker rooms, seats, a whole DMS video system with our replay board, and we put a lot of commitment into making it better. And it's not perfect, but we're proud of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you talked about the style of play that you wanted, and you wanted to have an attacking, energetic, entertaining team. I think everybody values that, but that starts at the top with Dale Schilly, who is the head coach of St. Louis FC. How did you get started with that? I mean, I guess he's a big St. Louis guy, been in soccer for about 30 years or so. He's known as a guy who develops talent. I guess, was that a logical choice to just say yes, or was there a big search and you kind of landed on him? Or
no, it was the only choice, to be honest. Not in a bad way, like we had no other options, but it was a no-brainer. I think the two things that Dale brings to the table is experience as a player, experience as a coach. He's pushed kids on to the next level as a youth coach for years. He's been involved at the older ages. His experience, although a brief one with AC St. Louis when he stepped in to try to salvage that season on the field for him, he did a great job. You look at guys like Chris Schuler, Louis Gill, Colin Warner, all everyday guys in MLS now. Those are loanee guys that Dale brought in. So when he did that, it made us attractive to younger players and agents because he's got a name. People know that he can, train talent, make younger kids better. And let's be honest, that's what this league is about. It's about making guys better to push on, so we can watch them on TV in a couple of years and say, I remember when he played for Louisville against us, or I remember when he played for us, and have those memories. So, Dale does such a good job of man management and making guys better. And our team, you look at our team, we're younger. We've got a couple older guys, some leadership, but we're always going to be a younger base team that's going to try to drive guys on. That's our niche. We want to win while we do it. We're not just a development team and just put guys out there and hope they get better. We want to win. We want to compete, but we're always going to have a younger feel to it. And because of that, Dale was a great choice.
Yeah, well, so I want to start with, you were talking about the players and the team, and I want to start with Mike Amersley because that's where you guys started. That was the first signing, I guess, notably, and he is a St. Louis guy. Obviously, I am spent some time at Indiana University, so, he's also somebody that I'm like, oh, yeah, Mike Amersley. He played previously for Indy 11, so was kind of a hometown hero for them being from the Indiana University. But obviously now he's really at home playing in St. Louis. What was that like to build a team, and where did you go from there with the rest of the roster?
So we started with Mike, and we started with him because he wanted to be here.
Yeah.
He wanted to be back home. He wanted to be in St. Louis. He wanted to be, playing in front of friends and family and kind of wrap everything up where it all started. So it was an easy decision, and just because of the type of pro he is. He's been on long bus rides when you win. He's been on long bus rides when you lose. Yep. He's had great seasons. He's had tough seasons, both personally and as a team. And so it was a good starting point for us, and it brought some attention. And I think it showed that we were for real, that we were going to try to get this thing done. And he had a good year in Indy last year. Yeah. We went over, and I went with the Louligans to go watch him play, and he did well. And it was just an opportunity to bring him back. From there, he kind of set the tone. We knew that we couldn't bring in players to St. Louis that were going to not bring a St. Louis attitude. Nobody fills a team with guys from hometown, and we weren't going to have 26 guys from St. Louis in a roster, but they had to be cut from the cloth of St. Louis. They had to be hardworking. They had to be honest. They had to be willing to work and put a good day in and try to play the type of soccer that we did. So from there, we're able to bring in, Oscar Gasecki, a guy who's, had a good track record over in Germany for a little bit. And he's hungry, and he wants to take the next step, and, so forth from there. James Musa, Sam Fink, another local guy. Charles Rankin, a local guy, has been around a little bit. And, So we're able to build in, and then you add the guys from the Fire, and then we get Brandon Barklitz late. And we talked to Brandon last fall. We tried to make it work. It didn't happen. And then when we were able to figure that out, that was a good day for us. We'd love to get him back in the field. He won't be there tomorrow. Yeah. You can tell Coach O'Connor and everybody's not going to be there tomorrow, but we'd love to get him back. But, so our roster's got a good local flair, good Midwest flair, a couple international guys, but it's a St. Louis type team to it.
Yeah, okay. And you've also got Mark Pace, who is a hometown guy. Now, speaking of the Chicago Fire players, you got to know Patrick Duty, and then who is the other one you
Alec
said?
Cam, the goalkeeper.
Yeah. He's new, right? He just came in.
No, he's been with us for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So Alec has been with us. He's been called back up a couple of times.
Okay.
When Sean Johnson had an injury and such, so we haven't had him all the time. But he's with us. So those two guys. Greg Cochran was another player that they sent in. Was at University of Louisville actually.
Oh, okay.
Transferred in from Virginia Tech. So he came in with us for a couple of games, helped us out when we needed, and it's been a great relationship. I mean, we couldn't be happier with the setup that we have. Yeah. Now,
I guess, how did you all find your way into that relationship? Was it sort of a make sense pairing regionally, or just was there an association beforehand, or?
A little bit of a relationship up there on the youth side. I had worked for their PDL team quite a ways back, and and we compete against them in the U.S. Development Academy, so we knew a little bit about them. And we talked to some other teams, but the reason we went with Chicago, and I tell the supporters it all the time, I tell everybody, the reason we went with the Fire is simple. It was about soccer. It wasn't about, if we send you players, they have to play this much, or if we send you a player, he's got to play this position. We sat down with Frank Yallop and Brian Bliss and Trevor James, our head scout, and they started the meeting this way. Look, this isn't rocket science. This is football. We have guys that you need to make better, and you need players. Okay. So it's been a great relationship, and we've got another guy coming in Tuesday from them that we'll be excited to announce as well.
Okay. All right. Well, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me on the Pregame Pint.
I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for taking the time. We look forward to coming out tomorrow night and seeing the team in action and everything. So.
Yep. You're welcome in St. Louis anytime.
All right. Thanks so much. We'll be back. And we want to bring in Matthew Bird now, one of the St. Louligans. Matthew, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
All right. Now, I want to talk a little bit about, to wrap up, we're going to talk a little bit about the team and what they've done so far this season.
Okay.
From your perspective, I talked with Jeremy a little bit about how they play. He wants to play exciting, attacking football. I think everybody wants that. But what have you seen so far this season? What has the team showed you in terms of their performance?
I think St. Louis is a very working-class town, very blue-collar. We seem to be grafting our way to results. I mean, the football's not been pretty in some aspects, but we seem to be very, very good at working hard to get the results we have. If you'd have said to me last year after 7 games you'd be 500, I'd have probably taken it. I mean, I think we've done better than we feared, but we've not done as well as we hoped. Louisville have come out, they've hit the ground running. So, I mean, we're constantly comparing ourselves to you guys, and I think we might be doing ourselves a disservice.
Yeah.
Because if you compare us to Charlotte Independence, we're doing okay. So, I mean,
you got to use the table as the comparison.
Correct.
It's where you are in the table. It's, everybody, you don't want to just use one team, but obviously to start the season, St. Louis came to Louisville, dropped that game 2-0. That was obviously the first game at Louisville Slugger Field. You guys brought a lot of the Louligans to town, to Louisville. Since then, St. Louis is now 3-3-1,
Correct.
and the last game, I guess the last league game, was dropping a 2-1 decision to Toronto FC2 at home. What happened in that game? Because I believe that I think St. Louis got up early, 1-0, maybe the 6th minute.
It was just a comedy of errors the entire game. We've had three key players missing for the last 2 games. Brandon Barklitz, holding midfielder. We got him from the San Jose Earthquakes. I mean, he's MLS class. He's a holding midfielder. He's a cool, calm head on the ball. He went out when we lost to Rochester with plantar fasciitis. He's not coming back for a while.
Yeah.
Again, when we went to Oklahoma City and we won 2-1, Jameel Hardware pulled his hamstring, and he's missed the last 2 games. And Jeremy Lynch got a red card, so he's missed the last 2 games through suspension. And any time you take out 2 Jamaicans out your team, you're going to lose some pace. So we looked a little lethargic, I thought, against Toronto, but it was what it was. And I think Toronto aren't a better team than us if we were at full strength. But, and then they went to you guys and you hammered them 4-0, and that really blew us away. We were like, whoa, where was this Toronto team on Saturday? So
it was a real complete performance from Louisville City. They really dominated the play. Yeah,
I watched it as I rocked back and forth in the fetal position.
Well, that'll happen. It's not going to be the last time. Hopefully, it won't happen that often. When you see that kind of stuff. But you talked about Jameel Hardware and Jeremy Lynch, who have really been. I guess would you say they've been standout players? They certainly grab attention with the intensity with which they play.
Yeah, Lynch. We always looked more of a threat with Lynch on the field. We had our first couple of starting forwards with Brian Gall and Mike Ambersley, and then whenever Lynch came on the field, I thought we looked more of a threat going forward. So when we went to Oklahoma City, when we went to Tulsa and won there, Lynch started, and I think Lynch kind of became the number one starter up front. Jameel's kind of been moved around. He started on the right hand of midfield, and then he went to the top of the diamond. Then at Oklahoma City, he went to the striker position. So he's moved around. So I don't really know what his best position is right now. All I know is that he's quick and he likes to take shots. I don't think he's a pure striker because a lot of the shots end up in row Z. But when he connects, he connects. So.
Now, I guess coming back to when I talked with Andy a little bit about the relationship between the team and the fans and everything, you were obviously pointing out right before we started an Instagram post where one of the players liked it. And we talked about how that's such a unique relationship to have. And what has that been like to see develop with, this sort of intimate setting out there at the soccer park?
We really have to consider ourselves extremely lucky with what we've got. I mean, I can text the GM of the team whenever I want. I know the players by first name. The coach knows my name. And it's interesting because Don Garber was here last week, and everyone seemed to be so excited at the prospect to get an MLS. And I really want to temper expectations with that, because be careful what you wish for, because if you get MLS, you won't have the access to the team. You won't have the interaction. You won't have the intimacy that we've got right now. And yes, MLS may be better, but from a fan experience, it may not be. And currently our season tickets are, let's say, $150. If we get MLS, our season tickets are going to be $400. And I don't think the MLS is that much better, personally. We've gone 5 years without having a team. We've now got a team, and we're having a lot of fun with it. And let's just have fun with what we've got. Be careful what you wish for, and enjoy it.
All right. Well, so going into tomorrow night, do you all have any special rituals or anything that you do before the games? I guess there's a tailgate before the games. What else goes into that kind of stuff?
It's strange because we're going to have a tailgate tomorrow, and apparently there's going to be food trucks arriving. So that takes a lot of the emphasis on us. In games prior, we've had to provide our own food, and we had a tailgate committee that put together food and drink and stuff. So tomorrow is going to be a new start for us because we're not going to have to provide our food. We went to Indianapolis for the Indy 11 game last season to see what they were doing in their first year in NASL. And they have food trucks and their own little beer tent. And we were very impressed at what they did. And we're trying to emulate what the Indy 11 have done. The tailgate has kind of exploded from 20 to 30 guys who you all know to there's people turning up now that I have never seen before in my life. And then people are bringing their kids and wives. And it's really exploded into more of a party atmosphere.
I think that's what they want, the big
party. Absolutely. And we don't want it to be 30 drunk guys. We've got past that now. We are a collective group of supporters that welcomes everyone.
And how do you think it's been received in the community, the games? You've seen the turnout, you've seen the atmosphere. What's that been like?
Well, we kind of hit the ground running with 2 sellouts. And then the last 2 games are kind of tapered off to we lost around 20%. Now, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we lost and drew our first games. It wasn't until the 3rd home game where we got a win. I think that tempered expectations a little. The second game, we got 4,000 people. It was due to the weather and it being a Thursday night. I mean, you had that issue with your Thursday night game against Tulsa where the weather wasn't great. It was a Thursday, and you're going to get those games.
Oh yeah,
winning cures everything. If this team wins, people will come. I think the win against Des Moines in Open Cup, for the casual fan, that was a real morale booster. I mean, the hardcore fans are going to come anyway. It's the casual fans you want to hook. And granted, we beat a 9-guy PDL team, but the casual fan doesn't know that. They just saw that we won and it was great. So,
and they're going to look for that. That obviously, moving on, you'll play Minnesota United next Wednesday, and the casual fan looks at that and gets excited about what the U.S. Open Cup
I would
brings.
like to think so. I don't even want to think of what it'll be like if we get past them and have to go to Sporting KC.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you guys know yourself. If you get past Indy, you get to go to Chicago. Then it's huge. It's just huge.
Well, speaking of wins and losses, let's talk tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Louisville City is going to take on St. Louis FC. What's your prediction?
My heart says that we're going to win 2-0. My head says it. If you said to me, Matt, we're going to draw right now, I'd probably take it. I mean, you guys are flying right now. I mean, you beat Wilmington 3-0, you beat Toronto 4-0. I think what goes in our favor is that we're not as wide a field as you guys, so you won't be able to play your expansive game. You seem to get it out wide to Dakers a lot, and the kid can run. So you won't be. I don't think you'll be able to do that so much on our field because it's kind of narrow, and we're set up for the narrow field. That's what I'm kind of hanging my hat on right now is that you won't be able to play your game, and we've seen that every time you go away from home, you kind of struggle. So I would take a 1-1 draw. I would love to beat you.
You want the 2-0 revenge. You want that flipped scoreline, right?
It concerns me that if you come away with a win tomorrow, you're going to be 8 points clear, and you start really putting some space between us and you. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
The table is what matters. Yeah,
absolutely. We're 6th in the league right now. We're in a playoff spot. We're not doing too bad. I'd like to put some space between us and Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, and Charlotte, who've been winning games recently. I'd not like to fall behind those guys for a start.
Okay, all right. Well, Matthew Bird, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Cheers.
That's all from us in St. Louis. We will see you next time back in Louisville. Obviously, follow me on Twitter for updates at Dalton_Maine. For the St. Louligans, the Louligan ladies, and St. Louis FC, I'm Dalton Maine. Thanks for joining us.